Hello everyone, welcome back to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi, dated 18th February 2025. Today again we will be discussing some important topics that has appeared in today's The Hindu and The Indian Express newspapers which are very relevant for your exam. In our first topic, we'll try to understand the mechanism of earthquake comprehensively. Then in our second topic, we'll try to look into various dimensions of cyber crimes in India. After that, in our simplified section, we will take up 5 articles and we will try to explain them in simplest language possible to enrich your understanding of the newspapers. Additionally, we have also incorporated some prelims pointers which is going to be very crucial for your upcoming prelims 2025 examination. So have a look on them also and stay tuned. Our first topic is strongest earthquake in Delhi in last 5 years. The context of this topic is that a 4.0 magnitude earthquake struck early Monday morning in national capital Delhi. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 1, important geophysical phenomena and earthquakes, and this is one of the important topic for your prelims examination also. Why? Because in prelims 2023 itself there was a question that was asked from this particular topic which was very basic in nature and it was directly from the fundamentals of geography NCERT, and if you did not have a divorce with your basics, you could have easily solved this particular question. Now, what exactly is an earthquake? In simple words, earthquake is shaking of the earth, which is a natural event or the phenomena and caused due to release of energy that generates waves in all directions, and that is the reason people feel tremors on the earth's surface. Now, the location below the earth's surface where this earthquake starts or the waves starts is called as the focus or the hypocenter, and the location directly above this focus or the hypocenter on the surface of earth is called as the epicenter. At this point of time in last three centuries, this is one of such incident where the epicenter of the earthquake was in Delhi itself, and it was near the Jheel Park, which is a location near the Dhaula Kuan, Delhi. It is just 1 kilometer away from the place from where I am recording this session at this point of time. And there are several other reasons why the Delhi's earthquake felt so strong. What are those reasons? Obviously, the first reason is the epicenter being within Delhi, which is an exceptional case in last 3 centuries. And when the epicenter is in Delhi itself, it leads to strong local tremors and people feel strong tremors, and also the shallow depth of the earthquake. The depth of this earthquake was 5 kilometers itself, and all the earthquake which are up to 0 to 70 kilometer deep, they are categorized as shallow depth earthquake. And when it is just 5 kilometer depth earthquake, the quake's seismic energy remained concentrated near the surface, which has amplified the impact of the earthquake or the tremors. Also, the seismic wave behavior, that tremors are strongest near the epicenter and the seismic energy is most intense at the origin, and it weakens further as it spreads outwards. For example, in past few years we have also witnessed some of the tremors where the epicenter was either in Pakistan, Afghanistan, or in near the Himalayan region, Nepal region, and that is the reason those tremors were not very strong, because the epicenter was far from Delhi. But at this point of time, when the epicenter is in Delhi itself, we have felt the strong tremors. Apart from that, the geological behaviors, the Delhi's local soil conditions have further amplified the shaking and which has intensified the effects. That Delhi ridge area where some of the igneous rocks we have, then we have the Yamuna plains where we have the alluvial soils. So this difference in the soil structures within the vicinity of the Delhi, to some experts they believe that this has further amplified or one of the amplifying factors for the strong tremors. Another important factor is the proximity to fault lines. So Delhi lies near some of the active fault lines like Delhi Haridwar fault line, the Mahendragarh Dehradun fault line, as well as the Muradabad fault, which makes Delhi a seismically vulnerable zone. So what exactly are the fault lines? Fault lines are the cracks or the ruptures in the earth crust where the tectonic plates are meeting or they are moving apart relative to each other, and these line marks the boundaries between the different sections of the Earth's surface, and they can be the sites of some of the strong seismic activities. And when these tectonic plates are either meeting or they are moving apart from each other, the stress builds up, and when this stress will go beyond a critical point, that will be released in the form of seismic waves, which causes the tremors on the Earth's surface, which leads to lot of loss of life and property. And this particular question, which was asked in the prelims 2023, although this is a very basic question from the NCERT itself, but there is another strong reason why this question was asked in the prelims 2023 examination. Because in the month of Feb 2023, there was a strong earthquake in Turkey-Syria border, which led to loss of life and property. And this was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. And India also supported with some of the materials, medicines, etc. that they supplied to Turkey in the time of distress. And that is the reason we keep on emphasizing on the point that whatever the topics that are in news, try to ensure that you prepare the static part of that topic very well, because UPSC have a tendency of asking questions related to topics that are in news. And in the 2023 prelims itself, there was a question on the election of the president, or the question was related to the electoral college of the president. Why again that question was asked? Because the election of the president happened at that point of time. Our current honorable president was elected at that point of time. So whatever the topics that are in news, try to prepare the static part of that also, because UPSC may ask question related to that in the prelims examination. Also, if you look into the anatomy of an earthquake, as we have discussed, that earthquake is the shaking of the ground caused by the sudden motion along the fault or the fractures in the earth crust. And fault is the rocks that make up the earth crust, the rupture or the cracks that is happening. And what exactly is this tectonic plates? These are the massive rocks that makes up the outer layer of the earth's surface, and whose movements along the faults trigger the seismic waves or the earthquakes. Epicenter is the point at the surface on the earth directly above the focus, and focus is the point within the earth where the earthquake rupture starts, and it is also called as the hypocenter. And these seismic waves are the waves that transmits the energy or the stress that got built up and which is being released by an earthquake or in the form of various seismic waves. So how this earthquake is actually happening? Now there are three types of boundaries: convergent, divergent and the transform boundaries. Destructive boundaries or the convergent boundaries, where the plates are moving towards each other and the heavier oceanic plates gets subducted down, grinding against the lighter continental plate. It goes below the particular oceanic plate, which is heavier. Now again, the constructive plate, which is also happening along the divergent boundaries, these two plates are moving away from each other, and the rocks have faults or the ruptures or the breaks in them, which move as plates move apart. Then we have the conservative boundaries. The two plates are moving in the same direction at slightly different angle and the speeds. Now you have to understand, when there is a divergent boundary interaction, there is a tensional stress that is being built, which pulls rocks apart, stretching and thinning the crust and often leading to normal faults. Then we have the compressional stress, which pushes rocks together in the case of the convergent boundaries happening, which is shortening the crust. Here the crust has shortened and forming the rivers or the thrust faults. Then we have the shear stress, which causes rocks to slide past each other horizontally, typically resulting into the strict slip faults. Now what happens? The friction stops the plates when they are moving past each other, and that leads to building up of stress. For example, when we people buy a new shoes or the slippers, why that doesn't slip? Because of the friction, because of the surface of that slipper or shoes, which is leading to a strong grip. But when this slipper or particular shoes gets older, then there is high chances that we will be slipping on the floor, because there is no friction. And that is the same thing, that this friction is stopping, is ensuring that these plates doesn't move, and that leads to a strong mounting of stress. And when a critical point is reached, when this stress is released, there is a point now the stress cannot be stopped and it gets released, and then plates start grinding, snapping past one another, which leads to the seismic waves being released, and we feel strong tremors on the earth. Also, it comes in the form of different body waves as well as the surface waves. So what exactly are they? The body waves or the primary waves are the waves which travel back and forth through the earth's crust, moving ground in line with the wave, that is parallel to the wave, and they are the fastest moving of the waves, traveling at around 6 to 11 km per second, and typically arrive first with a sudden thud. As you know that in the earth we have the different kind of medium: solid, liquid and the gaseous, and these primary waves travel in all the three mediums, and that is the reason they are first to arrive on the surface. Then we have the secondary waves which move up and down perpendicular to the direction of wave, which is causing a rolling motion in the earth crust, and they are slower than the P waves, traveling at about 3.4 to 7.2 km per second, and can only move through the solid material, not liquid, and that is the reason they come with a lag from the P waves. And you can see the propagation or the movement of this particular S wave is perpendicular to the direction of waves. Then we have the these body waves, when they react or they interact with the surface rocks, they produce the surface waves, which are the love waves and the Rayleigh waves. When these surface waves only move along the surface of earth and they are much slower, and this love wave was named after a British seismologist, A.E.H. Love, and they are the fastest of two types and shake the ground from side to side basis perpendicular to the direction of wave. And then we have the Rayleigh waves, which is named after the British physicist Lord Rayleigh, and they are the waves that causes ground to shape in a elliptical motion. And surface wave arrive last during the earthquake, but often cause the most damages to infrastructure due to the intense shaking that they causes, that leads to collapse of buildings, etc. And now we will try to solve this question of the 2023 prelims examination, that in P waves the individual particles vibrate to and fro in the direction of wave propagation, where in S wave particle vibrate up and down at the angle of the direction that is perpendicular. So the second option is correct, and obviously in the seismograph P waves are recorded earlier than the S waves. So correct answer is C, both 1 and 2. Then how exactly is this earthquake being measured? The intensity is the measure of amount of earth shaking that happens at a given location at an earthquake, that is the how much tremors has been felt, and the magnitude is the measure of the size of the seismic waves or the amount of energy that is released at the source of the earthquake. And Richter scale and the moment magnitude scale both measure the earthquake's magnitude, as well as the modified Mercalli scale is based on the earthquake intensity. So intensity is the actually we get idea about the destruction that has happened. Now there is a meme which was very viral on the social media, that the scientists are measuring with the help of Richter scale the magnitudes and the intensity with the help of the Mercalli scale, but in India you can see lot of videos of the movements of the fan on the social media itself, and this was the meme, that Indians are measuring with the help of movements of the fans itself. And if you talk about the distribution of the earthquake, it is this circum-Pacific zone is also called as the ring of fire zone. Why? Because of some of the strong plates are meeting in this particular zone. That is the reason that some of the strong earthquakes we have witnessed in this area of the ring of fire or circum-Pacific belt. In India, 59% of the land area is liable to seismic hazard damage, and it has been categorized into 5 zones. The zone 5, which is a very high risk zone, some of the northeastern regions as well as some of the regions which are in the vicinity of the Himalayan region, they comes under the zone 5. Then we have the zone 4, which is a high risk zone, some of the areas which is located near to the Himalayan region, and in it Delhi also comes. They are high risk zone, intensity 8. Then we have the zone 3rd, which is moderate risk zone, and zone 2nd, which is a low risk zone. Some of the states in the southern India date comes under zone 2, which is a low risk zone, and this is also a map which is representing this seismic zones of the India. Also, why this particular question may be asked in your prelims examination or in mains examination, because in 2022 itself UPSC has asked about the color coding of different cyclones. So they may ask about the zones of the earthquake also in your mains examination or in your prelims examination also. What is the impact of earthquake on the humans? It leads to loss of life or the physical injuries. For example, in 2010, the Haiti earthquake led to loss of life of more than 220,000 people. In 2015, Nepal earthquake, whose tremors were felt along the northern India as well as the Delhi, it led to loss of life of more than 9,000 people. And it also leads to displacement as well as the homelessness. The people who have lost their homes, they try to ensure that they get back to their normal life. The 2000 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan has displaced more than 470,000 people. So after every earthquake, this is one of the major challenge which is faced by the people, that they have to displace from the homeland and they have to settle to some other place. They have to find jobs, they have to fulfill their essential needs, etc. And it also caused to damage to overall infrastructure. Some of the critical infrastructure like power grids, telecoms, etc., the roads, highways, bridges, etc., all gets disrupted, which leads to an impact on the normal life of humans. Also, the economic disruptions, that whenever the infrastructure are getting disrupted, it also impacts the economic activities. That leads to shutting down of industries or the proper goods and services production, as well as the availability of the goods and services. The essential commodities are not able to reach to the ultimate consumers properly. For example, the 2008 Sichuan earthquake in China led to loss of $86 billion in direct economic losses. Also, it led to psychological trauma. The post-earthquake trauma, that people who have lost their near and dear ones, they feel anxiety, depression, severe trauma, which needs lot of time to heal. And another factor is the disruption of the essential services, especially the people who are already not very financially sound. When their home is lost, when their economic activities are not sound, when they have lost their jobs, that further impact their essential services, that they do not have proper food to eat, they do not have proper medication, they do not have proper potable water, and that further amplifies the situation where there may be the various pandemic, etc., that can come. There may be the disease causing deaths that may happen after these kind of earthquake like situations. So what exactly needs to be done? First of all, there is need for improved building code and the infrastructure. Just look at your vicinity, the people who are living in Delhi. Do you really think the buildings that are there, they will be able to handle any of the strong earthquakes? Answer is no. Why? Because of the fact that these buildings which were built, they are very old, first of all, and whatever the new buildings that are being built, to save the costs, they are not being built by following all the earthquake norms. That the materials that they have to use, the quality of the materials, that needs to be ensured, to ensure that tomorrow if there may be a strong earthquake that come, that buildings are able to handle these tremors. Also, the early warning system and the preparedness, that India needs to invest in more research and development technologies, that we can get an idea about the possible tremors or the earthquakes that may come in future. For example, the Japan have taken a significant leap in this direction, that they have developed a strong technologies that gives them an idea about the possible earthquakes in future, which leads to a proper mitigation as well as adaptation measures in the time-bound manner. Also, there is need for land use planning and hazard mapping, that we need to ensure that some of the zones which are very prone to the earthquakes, which lies in a hazard zone 5, there can be less disruptive activities. For example, there are some of the human induced tectonic activities that also leads to the earthquake, like reservoir caused earthquake, that if we are building a strong dams and reservoirs in the Himalayan region, which may lead to a more seismic activity in that zone, which was already a seismic active zone, which can further amplify the situation, which can further lead to strong earthquakes. So we need to ensure that we do a proper mapping, and according to the map, according to the zonation, the buildings and the infrastructure should be built on those areas. Also, there is need for community resilience and the education. The NDMA guidelines that what you should do in case of the earthquakes, that try to find a shelter, etc. That needs to be people needs to be made aware about all those things, and they should be educated about do's and don'ts of all the things that they have to done before the earthquake and after the earthquake, as well as during the earthquake. Also, the international cooperation and the knowledge sharing due with the help of various diplomatic effort, transfer of technologies, India can get help in ensuring that whatever the good important technologies or the developed technologies that we have in the other parts of the world like Japan, etc., that they are shared with India, so that India can also tackle this particular issue or the disaster properly. This is a mains practice question that you people can write from this topic. The second topic is the issue of the cyber crimes. The context is that in January, the Karnataka's web-based portal named Kaveri 2.0 faced the distributed denial of service attacks. This is a particular topic which is related to syllabus of your GS paper 3, challenges to internal security through communication networks and basics of cyber security. Now, why this topic is very much important? Because you can see in past, in the mains examination, we have consistently seen that there were questions that were asked from this topic, whether it is 2022, 20, 2019, from 2013, almost 8 times the questions were asked from this topic till 2022, and that is the reason this topic is very much important for your mains examination. Now, the background of this topic is that the Kaveri 2.0, which is a web-based portal which streamlines the property registration in the Karnataka. That is, the whenever you are going to buy a plot of land or agricultural land, that when earlier the registration and every process was manual, which was taking a lot of time, and the Karnataka, to ensure that they are focusing on the e-governance, they have developed this portal, but there has been they have faced a severe attack, and that is the reason the services were impacted. What is this distributed denial of service attack? This is a malicious attempt to disrupt the normal functioning of targeted server, service or network, which is overwhelming it with a flood of internet traffic. Let's suppose there is a particular website. Now let's suppose this website can handle 100 people only, but 100 people who are not using that portal, or that portal is of no use to some 100 people, and they have deliberately or with the malicious intent they are using that website, then the person, some other person who are in need of that portal or website, they will not be able to use because of this huge traffic that was ensured or that came with a malicious intent. Now, why this particular thing happens? It is also happening because these particular cyber crimes tries to disrupt the normal functioning of the government, etc. Also, as per this CyberArk, which is a cyber security firm, it said that the 91% of Indian organization which they have surveyed has experienced some or other form of cyber attacks like ransomware attacks in the past 1 year, that is 2023-24. Also, if you will see that how vulnerable this digital space is, that Uttar Pradesh is one of the state where the cyber crimes was one of the highest, and most of the states, whether it is UP, Maharashtra, then the Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Karnataka, they have faced lot of cyber crimes. And why exactly this is happening, that we'll see. But before that, let's try to look into these types of cyber crimes. One is the phishing, which involves the obtaining the personal information of user by sending spam emails or by means of phishing websites which resemble same as the original websites or the authorized websites. Then we have the identity theft, which involves getting information of credit card, debit card, bank details. Further, unwanted money can be easily deducted after the information is hacked. For example, whatever the calls people get to tell the OTP or the CVV numbers of the credit card, debit card, etc. Then we have the malware attacks, which is the hostile software which is designed to damage the computer or system. This is done to access the meaningful information or by for doing some crime using that system. Then we have the ATM fraud, cyber stalking, spoofing, which is an email which is received and it appears to be from some of the authentic sources, but it is not same, it is corrupted. Then the piracy, that is the unauthorized access to the information which is confidential. For example, the pirated movies, etc., which is available, that is another form of cyber crimes. What exactly are the important reasons that why we are witnessing that increase in the cases of the cyber crimes? First important is the technological advancement that we have witnessed, and with the technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, strong internet connections, it is leading to further amplifying these cases of the cyber crimes. Then the strong economic reasons, that whatever the cyber crimes that is happening, there is money that is involved in this. The ransomware attacks which are being faced by the particular companies, they have to give some money to ensure that they access their laptop, computer or system properly. So the money that they will be giving in form of crypto, etc., that will lead to benefit to those cyber attackers. And that is, this strong economic reason is one of the reasons that why we are witnessing this increase in the cyber crime. Then another important is the social reason. The poverty, lack of education, lack of skills, and the peer pressure is another important reason why we are witnessing this increase in the cyber crime. For example, some of you people might have seen the web series Jamtara, in which there was a group of people, earlier one person or one boy from that particular district started doing these kind of digital frauds or cyber crimes. But when he have gained a lot of money from that digital frauds and the cyber crimes, it acted as a motivating factor for other youths to get hold of this easy money. And this was one of the important reason why we have seen an uptrend in the digital frauds and the cyber crimes in the Jamtara district. Apart from that, when we have witnessed the increased population, when the population is increasing and we have the low avenues of the education, there is mismatch between the demand of the industry and what the curriculum we have with the universities and the colleges. It is leading to a low employment, and when these youths which do not have employment, although they need money, they further goes to these kind of cyber crimes. Apart from that, when there is low employment, there is lot of youth which perishes in the poverty, and this is the point where the peer groups acts as a motivating factor, and they comes towards the path of cyber crime. These kind of flowcharts you can also make in your mains examination, and that can enhance the quality of your answer. Apart from that, another important factor is the political reason, that is the transnational nature of the cyber crimes that are happening. Many of the times these people who are doing these kind of crimes, they are sitting outside India. For example, the Mumbai power grid attacks that we have seen, the attack on the administrative wing of the Kudankulam power plant, attack on the AIMS server, which all these were actually seen to be originated from the outside India. And some of the state-sponsored attacks also. For example, during the Galwan Valley clashes, there were various attacks which allegedly happened from the China itself. So there are various state-sponsored attacks when state is supporting. Again, this is one of the strong reasons for increase in the cyber crimes. Also, there is the legal reason. First of all, the Budapest Convention on the Cyber Crime, India didn't sign that, and there is no comprehensive law to tackle this evolving cyber crime arena, and that is also one of the reasons that why we are seeing this uptrend in the cyber crimes. If you talk about the current provisions on the cyber security, we have the IT Act 2000 and IT Amendment Act 2008, which provides for various definitions, which provides for an overarching framework for tackling the cyber crimes. Then we have the National Cyber Security Policy 2013, which creates a secure cyber ecosystem and creates mechanism for security threats and responses to the same through national systems and the processes. For example, under this policy itself, the Computer Emergency Response Team was set up, which functions as the nodal agency for coordination of all cybersecurity efforts, emergency responses, and the crisis management. And they have made some rules. Under these rules, that every businesses, individuals, etc. have to mandatorily report any kind of cyber attacks which has happened. Then we have the I4C, or the Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, which is helping in the coordinated efforts between all the state police and all other organization in case of cyber attacks, etc. what is happening. Then we have the National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, which is operating as the nodal agency for protection and resilience of critical information infrastructure like power grids, like UIDAI infrastructure, etc. So what exactly we should be doing? First of all, India should consider joining the Budapest Convention on the Cybercrime. That can actually help in tackling the transnational nature of crime properly. Also, there is need for budgetary allocation to deal this menace of the cyber crimes properly, that we invest in more research and development of the newer technologies that can prevent such kind of cyber attacks. And we have to also ensure that we have such robust infrastructure that at the time of attacks we can undo or we can minimize the impact of such kind of attacks. Also, there is need for stricter enforcement of regulation. With the evolving technology, newer technologies, these laws needs to be amended in a time bound manner so that these menace of the cyber crimes can be tackled well. Also, we need to focus on the basic cyber security habits, like ensure that whatever the requests that you are getting on the social media, verify those requests. Whatever the emails that you are getting, do ensure that you first know that that is not a spam, then the click or open the file that you are getting. Also, do ensure that all your accounts and everything is password protected. Ensure that you lock your computer properly. Update whatever the softwares, etc. that you are using in a time bound manner. Whatever the updates that you are getting, security patches that you are getting, do update with them. Also, ensure that you do a regular backup of all your data so that in case of any attack, you don't have to bear lot of losses for the data that is lost due to the attack. There was a prelims question from the 2017 prelims examination. This is a prelims question, that in India it is legally mandatory for which of the following to report on the cybersecurity incident. What is the rule that I told, which has been made by the Computer Emergency Response Team? Based on that, try to answer this particular question. Even if you don't have idea about that particular rule, you can easily answer this question by the common sense. Tell me the answer of this question in the comment box. And this is one mains question that you people can write from this topic. In simplified section, our first topic is the Aravali Safari Park project. This is related to your GS paper 1 geography land resources, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu page number 8. So the context of this topic is that the Haryana government's ambitious 3,858 hectare Aravali Safari Park project is spread across Gurugram and Nuh district, which was one of the poll promises done by the current government, is envisaged to be the world's largest safari park. However, the project has faced stiff opposition even since it was first mooted, because some of the people feels that it will disturb the ecology of the Aravalis, and when more and more tourists will come at this Aravalis, they will deface the Aravalis. And as per the tender invited by the Haryana Tourism Department, the proposed Aravali Safari Park will have animal cages, guest houses, hotels, restaurant, auditoriums, and animal hospital, children parks, botanical gardens, aquariums, cable cars, tunnel walk, park with exhibits, and open air theatre and eateries. And the particular project has now been transferred to the forest department, and expert committee has been set up to oversee it. Now, opposition, why people are opposing, why some of the people who are opposing this particular project, is because of the fact that these hills are oldest fold mountain ranges in the world, one of the oldest fold mountain ranges in the world, and it run diagonally across Rajasthan, extending from Champaner in Gujarat in southwest to near Delhi in the northeast, or about 690 km. And it is ecologically significant at its combat desertification by checking the spread of the Thar desert towards eastern Rajasthan. That you can see that this is the Aravalis. It helps in the checking the spread of the Thar desert because of the forest and the wildlife that is there. Otherwise, that desert will further take up the other parts of the Rajasthan and may come to the other state also. Also, the This performs also a role of an aquifer with its highly fractured and weathered quality rocks, allowing water to percolate and recharge the groundwater. What happens that when it is, first of all, these forests helps us in ensuring that the soil is not eroded. So it also helps in conserving the soil. Second, when with the help of the rocks that are there and the soil that is there, the trees that are there, it helps in natural recharging of the groundwater and maintaining the proper aquifers. Also, it is also rich in rich habitat to wide spectrum. And a group of 37 retired Indian Forest Service officers have written a letter to our Prime Minister seeking to scrap the project, arguing that the project's aim is to simply the increase in the tourist footfall and not to conserve the mountain ranges. Also, what are the laws that are protecting the Aravalis? First of all, there are various judgments and the orders from the Supreme Court and the NGTs which has diminished or which has ensured that lot of human induced and the anthropogenic activities are not happening in the Aravalis. Then we have this Punjab Land Preservation Act 1900, and we also have the Supreme Court case judgments, as well as this Regional Plan 21 for the National Capital Region. It also offers a crucial protection designating the Aravalis and the forest areas as the natural conservation zone and restricting the maximum construction limit to 0.5%. So this is one of the major issues that in past also we have witnessed lot of mining activities happening in these Aravalis areas because of some of the rocks that are available and some of the other mining activities that are happening. So that is again impacting the overall ecology or the fragile ecology of the Aravali. So it becomes really difficult to manage the human needs as well as the natural needs at the same time. But it is very much important to ensure that we are not disturbing the natural ecology of the Aravalis, and that is the reason one of the analysts have suggested, the Gurugram based forest analyst, that instead of safari park, the government should declare a natural park or sanctuary in the Aravalis, because that will to some extent regulate the human activities or diminish the human activities as compared to safari park, where we have seen a lot of economic as well as the lot of human intervention and the human activities that will be happening. Now you people tell me in the comment box that which are the examples of the in situ conservation methods and which are the examples of ex situ conservation methods for flora and fauna. Also, you should keep an idea about the major mountain ranges in India. For example, Aravalis are here, then we have the Vindhyas, Satpuras, then we have the Garo Khasi hills, this is the Himalayan mountain range, this is the Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, and the Cardamom hills is here, and the Nilgiri hills are there. Also, you have to, if you want to remember the mountain ranges here in this particular Himalayan region, try to remember it. KL Rahul 0 per out. It is Karakoram range, Ladakh range, Jaskar range, and the Pir Panjal range. Also, you people tell me in the comment box that which is the highest peak in the Aravalis range in the comment box. Our next topic is the constitutional morality. This is related to your GS paper 2 Indian Constitution, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu page number 9. So in the recent past, our constitutional courts have embraced the polysemous concept of constitutional morality as a tool to interpret as a test to educate upon the constitutional validity of the various statutory as well as executive laws. So what exactly the constitutional morality means? It means that adhering to the values of the constitution. For example, constitution says that there should not be any discrimination between two people. So there should not be any law that should be made by the parliament which is discriminating between two people of different religion, race, caste or sex. Also, our Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in the Constitution Assembly itself have said various things about the constitution morality. Also, he believed that democracy in India would have to learn the ideal of the constitutional morality, and it was not the natural phenomena. Historically, there was no as such constitution based on which we were being governed. Also, and it has to be established and diffused so as to ensure a free and peaceable democracy. That is the reason. For example, earlier we do not have as such any of the explicit fundamental rights or the fundamental duties. So it hasn't been ingrained in our psyche. And with the time from the 1950 to this year 2025, slowly and gradually this particular natural sentiment we are witnessing, we are ingraining with the help of the awareness, with the help of education, with the help of various judgments, or with the help of even by some of the laws of the parliament. And the Dr. Ambedkar says that constitutional morality is a civic culture of respect for the constitutional norms or adhering to the values of the constitution, offices, along with the vigilant application of the public reason, self-restraint and critique. Also, it requires the creation of confidence in citizens that constitution rules are sacred even to those with different political views, even during the heated political debates. That we should ensure that, let's suppose the normal functioning of the parliament is not happening, that you can say is non-adherence to the constitutional morality. If there is a person who is vandalizing the public places, that we can say that person is not following or not adhering to the constitutional morality or the values of the constitution. Why? Because constitution says that we have to respect the opposite views also. That if there is a party who has been mandated to form the government, who won the elections, and then there is a party in the opposition, so the opposition party will have to respect the mandate of the people itself, and the governing party will also have to respect the apprehensions of the opposition parties. There should not be any heated comments, or there should not be a complete boycott of the parliamentary debates. Rather, there should be a fruitful discussion that should go on, and then we can say that we are adhering to the constitutional morality. Also, the interpretation of the constitution morality emphasizes on the facts that adherence to the constitution must be non-transactional, and that it cannot be based on expectation that it would result in outcomes that reflect the values of the judgments or belief of a particular group of citizens. What is transaction? Transaction means, for example, when you are going to buy a tea, you are doing a transaction. You will send 10 rupees and then the shopkeeper will give you a cup of tea. Similarly, if we have to adhere to the constitutional morality, it should not happen transactionally. Means only if we'll get some of the rights, then we will do our duties. This should not happen. It should be non-transactional. Even if we are not getting some of the rights, even then we have this function, or we have this duty to follow all the fundamental duties. And we have to also look how our rights can be ensured with the help of constitutional remedies that are available under the Article 32 of the Constitution, under the Part 3 of the which provide for the fundamental rights. Also, more crucially, it sees the constitution not as a demanding blind devotion, but as a framework for managing the differences through agreed upon procedures. For example, in the center-state relations, if there is differences between the states or a group of states and the center, the interstate council is there to manage the differences. Then the state water disputes are there. Then water tribunals, interstate river water tribunals has been set up to manage the differences. We have the GST council, which has a constitutional body under the Article 279A, which is further ensuring or promoting the cooperative federalism and addressing those differences between the states and the center, and also promoting the fiscal federalism to some extent. Also, the constitutional morality emphasis on the process especially important given the present rhetoric. It shows how we can maintain the constitutional commitment without descending into fundamentalism. It points toward a more mature constitutionalism that balances reverence and reform, stability and change. One should not forget the fact that founding fathers also saw the promulgation of constitution as an allegiance to the constitutional form, allegiance to the constitutional values, articles that are enshrined in the constitution. So if we talk about the elements of the constitutional morality, it can be the rule of law, that there should not be any discrimination. All the public offices should be open to everyone. Then individual liberty, there should not be any undue restriction. There is right to equality, which is provided under the Article 14. The freedom of choice, speech, expression. The preamble of the constitution is providing if we are adhering to the constitutional morality, we have to follow all the values that are all the objectives, all the philosophies that are enshrined in the preamble. Then we have the social justice, procedure established by law, due process of law, which has this due process of law which has evolved through various judgments. All these are the elements of the constitutional morality which needs to be followed. Then our next topic is related to deposit insurance. This is related to GS paper 3, banking sector and non-banking financial company, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 1. So the finance ministry is considering the raising the current limit of 5 lakh for deposit insurance, that is set by the Secretary to Department of Financial Services, and the official statement comes day after the Reserve Bank of India has placed curbs on the Mumbai based New India Cooperative Bank for lack of liquidity. And what exactly is this deposit insurance? So there is a body which has been set up under a subsidiary of RBI with the name Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, to ensure that your money in the banks are safe in case of any bank failure that may happen. So why it was set up? To extend the protection to those depositors who may lose their money when a bank fail, or they do not have liquidity or money to return to the deposited. Which are the banks which are insured under this DICGC? All the commercial banks like State Bank of India, HDFC, ICICI, etc. The branches of the foreign banks in India, local area banks. There was a question also on the local lead bank scheme in the UPSC examination. Also the regional rural bank and the cooperative banks. There has been several questions on this also. All they are insured under this Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. And is this scheme mandatory for all the banks? This scheme is mandatory for all the banks, and this mandatory, when you subscribe or give discretion, you cannot withdraw that discretion. What is the maximum insurance cover? As of now, it is 5 lakh, which includes the principal amount as well as the interest which the person has incurred on the deposited principal amount in the bank. Also, this DICGC pays the amount to the liquidator who is responsible for paying the depositor. As the time of liquidation of that bank, DICGC will pay to them and they will further return to depositors. And can depositors recover the money? A depositor can recover the money only if the bank is closed or collapsed, and not anything else that is happening. He cannot ask for their money. Also, depositor will be able to recover 5 lakhs only, even if they have even more than 5 lakh in the bank. If they have 15 lakh or 20 lakh, even then they will get only 5 lakh. Both individual and joint accounts are considered separate. Thereby, insurance coverage is separate for both the accounts. And who is liable to pay this premium? Because whenever we are getting an insurance, we have to pay the premiums, and similarly in this case also we have to pay the premium. The banks are liable to pay the premium amount, which is determined based on the total deposits across all the bank branches, and banks are given 2 months to make the payment to DICGC. In case of delay, even by 1 day, banks will have to pay penal interest of 8% above the bank rate. And what happens if the banks do not pay the premium? If the bank fails to pay the premium for 3 consecutive years, then DICGC cancels the registration of the bank, and bank will not be able to receive fresh deposits, and its license can get cancelled and will no longer be considered as a banking company or the cooperative bank. That emphasizes on the point why it is very important for banks to ensure that they are paying all these premiums. Next topic is related to electoral bond, which is related to your GS paper 2, transparency, accountability, government policies and interventions, elections, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 13. So the experts are intrigued by the new income tax bill 2025, which has retained the provisions of electoral bonds, which was struck by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional last year, and they said it would be legislative oversight or the government intention to bring this electoral bond in another form, and that is the reason they are bringing the reference of electoral bond in this particular income tax bill. Now this is a particular electoral bond. This is how it looks like. This is a sample which was released. And what exactly is the electoral bond? So it is sold 4 times a year, generally in January, April, July, October, and it allows political parties to accept money from the donors whose identities are kept anonymous. Who is giving money to any of the political parties, that is not known, and they are sold in the multiples of 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh and 1 crore, and it was first floated in 2017 and implemented in 2018. And who can sell this electoral bonds, or do all the banks can sell? No. The State Bank of India is the sole authorized bank to sell and redeem the bond. Customers of other banks can also purchase the bond via different payment channels provided to them. However, a political party can only redeem the bond from one of the 29 authorized branches of the bank. Which parties can receive donations via these electoral bonds? A political party must also have at least 1% vote share in most recent general election or the assembly election to receive the donations via the electoral bonds. And it can be you have to understand that who the person is purchasing. They have to ensure that they are KYC compliant, that is know your customer compliant. All the personal details they are providing to the banks, only then they can purchase this. Also, bond will not carry the name of the payee and they will be valid for 15 days. In that day itself they has to be submitted to the account of the political parties, and they can be encashed only through that party's bank account and can be used for donation to the registered political party only, and non-registered political parties cannot take benefit of these electoral bonds. But due to lack of transparency and everything, this was struck down by the Supreme Court. You people tell me in the comment box what was the name of that case in which this electoral bond was struck by the Supreme Court. Our next topic is Central Pollution Control Board. There is a report which says that there is high level of microbes that are found in the river water of the Kumbh, and this particular topic is related to your GS paper 3, environmental pollution and degradation. This has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 12. So the report which has been submitted to the NGT, it says that high level of fecal coliform microbes which are excreted from human and animal excreta were found in the river water in which people took holy dip during Mahakumbh in Prayagraj, and its report says that the river quality was not conforming with the primary water quality, which is good quality water for bathing, with reference to fecal coliform at all the monitored location on various occasions. Huge number of people taking bath at Prayagraj during Mahakumbh in river, including on the auspicious bathing days, eventually leads to increase in the fecal concentration. When there will be a lot of population that is going to bath, obviously it will lead to increase in the fecal coliform. Also, you have to understand this NGT and CPCB is one of the important topic from which we have previously seen a question of the prelims examination. This NGT is established in 2010, created under the NGT Act 2010, which shows that it is a statutory body for effective environmental protection. It is a quasi-judicial body, specialization in adjudicating environmental disputes, ensuring a speedy justice, that they can call someone or they can summon any person or a particular company or the parties, and that shows that it is a quasi-judicial body. Also, it covers 5 key areas, that is forest, biodiversity, air, water and soil pollution. It have judicial power, that it can impose some penalties, penal restriction, or enforce environmental laws and protect ecosystem. The principal bench of NGT is in New Delhi, and it have also some regional benches for the broader coverage. There is no third-party appeals, bypasses lengthy court processes, enabling the direct environmental redressal, which needs a time-bound resolution with the help of these NGTs. Then we have the CPCB, which was established in 1974 under the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. It supervises air, water and noise pollution across India, and it is affiliated to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, functions under this. And the functions of CPCB as per this Water Act and as well as the Air Act 1981, to promote the cleanliness of stream and wells in different areas of states by prevention, control and abatement of water pollution, to improve the quality of air and to prevent, control or abate air pollution in the country. Now you people tell me in the comment box that what will be the answer of this question that was asked in prelims 2018 examination. That is all from today's analyst. Thank you very much. All the very best.